there is a difference between the terms amnesia and confusion. You can have significant amnesia and not appear confused. Now, there's a perfect example of this. It is a common phenomenon, in fact, a well-known enough phenomenon that when I ask this question in a deposition, most of the defense doctors will tell me who the quarterback was. But there's clear-cut evidence that quarterbacks can suffer concussions and not remember the game after the point in time of concussion, but still complete the game. Now, I don't think anybody who's ever watched an NFL football game could logically argue that an NFL quarterback can succeed at what he's doing, in other words, win the game, if he is confused. There is probably no more cognitively stressful thing that you can do, that I can think of, than being the quarterback of an NFL football team. Think of what they have to do. They have to hear the play in their ear. They have to communicate what they heard, remember what the coach told them long enough to communicate it to the rest of their teammates, and then execute that plan in a matter of a few seconds. That 3 or 4 seconds is all the time a quarterback has to take the snap and get the pass off, and do it under stress, the stress of very large people trying very, very hard to prevent them from doing that. Instantaneous, fast processing, decision-making, and completion of a task, all done in sequence in very short periods of time in very high-stress situations. That is not a person who's confused. Yet that person, clearly no question about documentation, that person can clearly have amnesia for the events while they did all those non-confused, highly stressful, cognitively challenging tasks. So when we're going to look at whether or not a person has amnesia after an accident, we not only have to ask ourselves, starting at what point, but how are we going to measure whether there was amnesia? Because they are not going to look amnestic. They're not going to look like they have amnesia to a casual observer. Right. So there's been an accident. Someone has now come to the side of the car and asks the injured person, the person who may have a concussion, whether or not they're okay. 90% of the time the answer is going to be yes. Occasionally that my neck hurts, my head hurts, my back hurts. High percentage of times they're going to say yes. They will get out of the car and they will do things far simpler than what an NFL quarterback does after an injury where they don't remember the game. Yet they will be able to do these things. One case, I know the defense made a big deal out of the fact that my client was able to give his business card to the defendant and to give clear-cut instructions about what they were going to do about insurance exchange. And I guarantee you that in 90% of the concussion cases, the person who is the potential plaintiff, the person who has a concussion, can probably function in that 5 to 10, 20-minute window after the accident to tell the police officer what happened, to give the insurance information to the other side, and to make a decision as to whether or not they should be transported to the hospital. Now, making a decision and making the correct decision could very well be two different things. Unfortunately, I would guess that over half of the people who call my office looking for help because they've now had a concussion that has not gotten better, half of those people did not go to the emergency room from the scene. They didn't get in an ambulance. If everybody I represented had gotten in an ambulance from the scene, it would be a much easier prospect to represent them. But that doesn't mean the fundamental issues be entirely different. Here's the problem. One, you can have amnesia and not be confused. And two, the amnesia may in fact not start for a period of time after the injury. Now, why does that happen? Well, It happens because brain injury is a process, not an event. And there's lots of information on my website, especially subtlebraininjury.com, and there's links on this page to that. There's lots of information as to what is actually going on the microscopic level that makes it so that a brain injury, much like most other injuries, may actually be worse at 3 hours, at 6 hours, at 24 hours. It's the concussions that are symptomatic at 24 hours, not at 1 hour, that are going to tell us whether or not a person is going to be significantly disabled.